Hello DevOps friends, welcome to my office hour. I am Jochen, the Monospace Mentor, and in my office hour I will be sitting here and simply waiting for your questions to come in, and I'll try to answer them. Why am I doing that? Well, I have a bit of experience in the IT field. I started software development in 1984 and started Linux system administration in 1993. So with a few decades of experience, I think I can be helpful. And I want to be helpful because my whole career has been built on open source software and from learning from others who freely shared the results of their work. And so I am more than happy to pay it forward and help other people who are maybe just now starting out in the field, and maybe I can be of use for you. So if there's anything that you'd like to know about Linux system administration, about Ruby coding, about software engineering in general, about your career, things like that, then post them to the Q&A URL, which you can see and find here. It's mspc.sh/office hour. I'm using a Q&A application that allows you to post your stuff both from your desktop and even from a smartphone app. So it's easy to post stuff. You don't have to sign up for anything. You don't even have to leave your name or email address or something like that. It's completely anonymous and you can post your questions there. You can upvote other people's questions if you like them, and it allows me to not only screen them myself and see what questions are coming in, but I also can get them on the screen easily and in a nicely formatted way so that people who are just joining the stream know and have a context about what I'm talking about, which is hopefully helpful and useful. But before I can be of any use, I need some questions. So go ahead and go to the Q&A platform, post your questions there, and then we'll get started with answering them. So let's take a look. There are a few people watching over on Twitch, a few on YouTube, and so far nobody seems to be watching on Owncast, which is my own streaming platform over on live.monospacementor.com. It's a nice alternative to the more commercial and less privacy respecting streaming platforms. So you have lots of choice how you can watch this stream, and regardless of which stream you use, please post your questions to the Q&A board so I can get them answered for you. First question has come in. What are we drinking today? Just a second, I'm still a little bit confused. Here we are. I am not drinking anything so far. To be honest, I dawdled a bit before I realized, oh, it's just a few minutes to 2 and I need to get my stream started. So I am not even prepared with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And you know what? I think at this point, I'll simply leave you with the Q&A board, and we can collect a few questions while I'm quickly brewing a tea. I'll be back in only just a few minutes, and then I'll be better prepared for your questions. Praxeus joining us says, I'm so glad you asked, anonymous poster. I'm drinking a nice Dang Kong Kolong, which is probably a Chinese tea from the sound of it. And since the only Chinese tea I know is pu'er tea, I will assume it's pu'er, but you can tell me otherwise, Praxeus. You are the tea expert. And so give me just a few minutes while I'm quickly brewing a tea, and then I'll be a little bit more relaxed when I have something warm in my hands. And I'm referring to my cup of tea, just to be clear. And I will also open the window so we can get the CO2 levels down that are at the moment at 1800 ppm. Situation is really bad at the moment. I'm completely confused. Help me getting back on track by posting questions to mspc.sh/office hour. And while I'm away, I'll simply put on the break sign. I'll see you in a few minutes. Please bear with me. boy, I should take breaks more often. Lots of questions coming in. Good questions as far as I can see. And let me just take the tea bag out of my cup. Good thing I have so many candy wrappers lying around. I knew they would come in handy. And some oat milk on top. Now I just have to wait for it to cool down a little. And while the tea is cooling down, we'll get to it. Whew, so many questions. Let me get an overview. Let's start from the top. 2 upvotes for these questions. Thanks for the upvotes. Not only thanks for the question, of course, but also for the upvotes. All right. I need to arrive mentally as well. My mind is lagging behind my body for a minute or so. I have no idea what's happening today. Maybe it's because it's my company's FFF Friday, our Fun, Family and Friends Friday. We get the last Friday off every month for mental health, for just recharging our batteries. And I slept in a little bit today, and that probably completely got me off track. I should have worked instead, just to be on track. So here's a question. I'm going for a DevOps position. What should I prepare technically? This would be my first DevOps position. How does a typical day of a DevOps guy look like? What do you guys do? Just stressing a bit. Don't worry, don't worry. I think I can help you a little, and my community will be able to help you as well, but let's get to that later. So, DevOps position. First of all, I can imagine it's really exciting and probably a bit stressful to go for a new position in a new field. And I am excited for you because it's DevOps, because DevOps is, I think, such a fulfilling field. It can also be stressful, I won't lie, but it's so diverse in terms of topics and things that you can do. So I think if you are a person that's inclined to do DevOpsy stuff, you'll definitely be able to find something that is up your alley, and you will enjoy in the long term. But what does or what might that involve? Well, the unfortunate thing is that DevOps is such a broad term, and also often a little bit misused. So it's hard to tell sometimes if a job that's advertised as DevOps is actually really related to DevOps. And in terms of what does DevOps even mean, I can actually refer back to a drawing that I made, I think, during my last office hours last Friday. And this is how it looks. DevOps in particular means that the wall of confusion that you can see here in this image between development, who develops software from the idea to hopefully production readiness, and ops, who then are responsible for keeping the application running. In our day and age, it's probably mostly web-based applications and all the backend behind them. In the dark ages, we had this wall of confusion in the middle, and development and operations were not only separated, but even opposed in what their goals were, because development is always forward-looking, progressive, innovative, and things like that. And the people who are responsible for keeping that stuff running, namely the operations people, are more conservative. They really don't like change, because change might mean a change in reliability for the worse. And in my corporate past, I often really experienced that when we were flooded with updates and stuff, and with the experience that most recent updates didn't go so well, we were always reluctant to pick up new updates, and we were asking ourselves, why are updates coming in all this time, and we don't really know what to expect. And oftentimes they were poorly documented in terms of operations documentation. So maybe we got nasty surprises after rolling out the software, and when we frantically tried to contact development about some strange behavior, they said, oh yes, yeah, we wanted to tell you that this time the software needs that and that, and you need to make sure that before you install it. And are you fucking kidding me? And so DevOps as an idea means to break down this wall, and to make sure that operations is involved in development, and development has an idea about operations. And so that DevOps together, Dev and Ops together, work together towards a common business goal, which is the arrow at the bottom. And of course we need proper processes here, like continuous integration, maybe even continuous deployment, things like that, and common tools, common platforms. Platform engineering is a huge term in the DevOps space as well. So if the job that you are going to apply for is in this mindset, then it's DevOps. But sometimes DevOps is just a glorified support position, where the company didn't want to nail themselves down if it's more operations or more development, or maybe it's both. And so
it's a Unix system. I know this.
Tuhami, welcome to the stack. Thanks for the follow. And so yeah, that makes it, with that definition up front, it makes it easier to explain what a typical day of a DevOps person looks like. Well, DevOps is actually not really a job. It's more of a mindset. You can be in development and have a DevOps mindset, and you can be in operations and have a DevOps mindset. So that might actually also depend on the job that you'll apply for, if it's more in development or in ops. And maybe if you don't mind, please post in chat if you are more thinking of getting a development position, or if you have been doing development so far, or have you been more on a system administration side, or are you trying to get into the industry from a completely different industry? Maybe you can give me a little bit more context about where you're coming from, and that'll make it easier for me also to tell you a few things. And it's Juice with Appledrin. I already applied, been a dev so far, no clue what the job entails. Well, best of luck to you then. You seem to be fine with having a little bit of a cloudy future. So, and I meant that not in the technological sense, but more in the sense that you don't know what's coming. Okay, so I think if you're coming from the dev side, it makes definitely sense to familiarize yourself with the operation side of things. And that's easy because nowadays you can simply pick something that is useful to you and build it on the web. Maybe you'd like to run a small web application used by friends and family, and then you get yourself a VPS and try and install that there. Find out how the VPS needs to be prepared, what packages need to be installed for your software to run or something like that. Maybe just pick someone else's software, some open source tool that can be useful for you. For example, something like run your own Nextcloud instance where you can store your files and sync them to your phone.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Fifi, welcome to the stack. Thanks for the follow. I really appreciate it. Lots of followers today. Nice. So yeah, Nextcloud, for example, is a very useful software where you can store your photo library. You can run your calendar on there. It has its own chat and even video conferencing component. So if you'd like to have something that is useful for you, friends and family, that's something like that. And they say they've already done that recently, made their own lead code clone. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's definitely something that's interesting for people. So familiarize yourself with the operation side of things. For example, do you already have backup for your clone, for your application? Do you have monitoring? How can you tell that your application is still up? And even if it's still up, is it healthy? Try and find out what you can install on your VPS to really operate it in a professional way, meaning having insight, having, as we call it, observability into your application as much as makes sense. And so that should your application go down or have some issue, maybe it can't connect to the backend database anymore, how will you find out without having people who want to use your platform, your application, telling you in a support ticket? With doing operations tasks like that, even if they seem a little bit overkill, by the way, backup is not overkill. Backup is never overkill. You can't have enough backup. And if you aren't familiar with the 3-2-1 rule of backup, familiarize yourself with that as well. So simply by simulating a professional operation, you can really get more insight into what DevOps is all about. And of course, on the dev side as well, development needing to be more streamlined, more with faster turnaround cycles and things like that. There's stuff as well too. You said you deployed it as a Docker container image. That's brilliant. Did you have to build that image manually and upload it manually with Docker push, but still manually, to Docker Hub and then pull it back onto your VPS? Do you have something like CI running, where if you push updates to your code, the container image gets built automatically and also updated on your VPS? By the way, for getting automatic updates on your VPS, you can, for example, use the Watchtower image that will track your container image registry and update questions as well. Jeff joining us and saying, hello, may I ask a question about Ruby? You may. Ruby is and has been my bread and butter language since 2010. So if you'd like to ask a question, please go to mspc.sh/office hour, where we collect all these questions and where I get them on screen, as you can see them again now. And I'll be more than happy to answer a question. Ideally, you'd post it to the Q&A platform. You can, of course, also ask questions in chat, but then I'll get distracted between the two channels, and I'd rather have them all on the Q&A platform. And it's easy to do there. You don't have to log in or anything like that. Just go to the Q&A page and enter your question, and I'll pick it up from there. Back to DevOps. That's also something that you can do because, of course, the CI/CD system will be the bridge between dev and ops. Once dev is done, as if it's ever done, they push it to the code repository, CI picks in. Balthazar, 12 months, 1 whole year. It's an anniversary. Thank you so much for your support, not only with your subscriptions, but also everything else. Thank you from the depth of my heart. It's so great to have people who support me in this way, and I'm looking forward to many months more. And I don't mean that in a financial sense. Balthazar coming in asking, if you ever did stand-up comedy, would you bill yourself as fixed with funny guy? It would probably be an avenue I'd go down, seeing that I recently switched all my terminals to green just to get that retro feeling, even though it wasn't great for sharing my screen on the stream, and that's why I reverted back to the Dracula color theme. I think we'll leave it at that because there are many more questions, but Juice with Apfundren, if you have more questions or if you'd like to follow up on a specific detail, please keep posting to the board. All right, we have one more question that has been upvoted. That's why I immediately am picking this one. And by the way, yeah, you can upvote other people's questions if you like them. So let's see. DevOps is a huge field. I have intermediate experience in IT second level support and a bit in server administration, Linux. Is there a good course material? Where do I start? There are DevOps courses. Yeah, and you're perfectly right. It's a huge field. So it's hard to make a DevOps course because it involves so many things. The one course that comes to my mind is the one by Nana on YouTube. She seems to be running a great educational channel and business actually there. And I know that she offers a quite extensive DevOps course that goes into many interesting topics. And I know that not because I took part in her courses, but because I aspire to offering a similar course in the future. That's what I'm going to do with monospacementor.com, is I want to share all the knowledge that I've gathered over the decades. The only challenge is that putting down my knowledge in text or video form takes so much time and effort, and I'm really struggling with finding that time. But yeah, I would spontaneously recommend Nana's DevOps Roadmap course. I think it's called. It's the DevOps Roadmap, if I'm not completely mistaken. If you can't find it, you can also ask again in our Discord. The !Discord command gives you an invitation, and I'll be able to pick it up for you from my YouTube subscriptions. You are definitely in a good position to get into DevOps if you have already some system administration knowledge. And in terms of where to start, I'd simply refer to my previous answer. Pick something that is useful to you, because if something's useful to you, it means that you'll stick with it, or you're more likely to stick with it than if you take some contrived example or pet project that might teach you a few things but will not really keep you turned on in the long run. And so having something that is fun to you in terms of doing all these DevOps lifecycle tasks and steps is definitely something that I will highly recommend. And I think it's going to be a good idea. It's a good idea for me to write something in terms of that answer, because this answer it comes up so many times that I'll quickly hop into my notes, my personal notes here. And let's just write down start into DevOps question. Okay, let me get my drawing board back so I'm prepared for next time. Just with effort, it says I could make a command for a DevOps course or something. Yep, that makes perfect sense. That's definitely something that I'm going to do. Okay, here's another question with 2 upvotes. I am using Julia for performance reasons, but would prefer to use Ruby. I'm familiar with parallel and an array, but is there a Ruby function that's as fast as Julia's find all for arrays? Whoa, that gets us into benchmarking, and I don't know if I ever saw a comparison in terms of performance between Julia and Ruby. To be honest, I only know that Julia is a programming language, but I don't know even what its defining features are. But I can simply try and condense the question to, is Ruby fast in scanning arrays? And I think it is pretty fast, at least for an interpreted language. And it does have built-in features to scan arrays. Maybe an array isn't the best data structure to begin with, if performance is what you're looking for. But Ruby definitely has a grep feature, or a grep method for arrays, and that is probably pretty fast. That's an interestingly specific question, and I think I'll circle back on that. Jeff, if you don't mind joining our Discord and asking that question there, just for me as a reminder, and then I'll be happy to look into that. And of course, most ideally, people who want me to do more extensive research, I don't have a TSR command. That's absolutely incredible. Ideally, you join our membership community, because part of your membership fee will make it much easier for me to spend time.
It's a Unix system. I know this.
Others, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stack. Appreciate the follow. For members, let's phrase it that way. Members definitely have priority in me spending time on research questions like this. But yeah, I'm curious myself. So if you just would give me a nudge on Discord, then I'll happily take a look into your specific use case, and maybe I can give you a little bit more specific advice then. Now, there have been more questions who've been lingering on the board, but I just got a page in. Let me quickly check if that's something serious. it could become something serious, but it's not at the moment because it only affects a standby machine. Maybe it's just a network hiccup. Usually this kind of alert is a network hiccup, which will resolve by itself, hopefully. Otherwise, I'll have to look into that later, because I am on call until 5 o'clock today. Which is another thing that DevOps people do, especially the ops side of things. Orsus asks, what font are you using for the scrolling banner on top of your stream? Most of the text on my stream here is Carbon OT. And where I can't use Carbon OT because it's not a Google font, then I use VT323. All right, so next questions. We'll take it from the top. What trick to handle complexity are you proud of or excited about recently? That's a deep question. I'll have to think about it. Trick to handle complexity. I guess a spontaneous answer, which might be a little bit of a cop-out, would be the best trick to handle complexity is to avoid complexity. Which I tried to do recently by deploying my URL shortener, simply using Podman on a Fedora machine. And yeah, if you haven't seen that on my recent streams, I did install the URL shortener that's behind MSPS.sh, MSPC.sh. I installed that on a Fedora box using Podman and its built-in Quadlet feature that connects containers with systemd, making it very easy to handle and manage services or handle containers as services. And I think that was a really nice way to avoid complexity, namely avoiding other container deployment approaches like Portainer, for example, where you have to run a GUI application, or even, of course, more bigger cannons such as Docker Swarm or Kubernetes, of all things. So that's definitely always my first approach, trying to avoid complexity in the first place, so I don't have to handle it. Otherwise, I didn't have many... I can't think of any recent occasions where I had to handle complexity. Maybe because it didn't occur to me that I was doing that. It's always hard if you do things as a job professionally. Sometimes you don't even realize that you are actually taking steps to handle complexity because you're so used to it that yeah, I'm just doing my daily work, regardless of what the concept behind it is. Refactoring is another of these intuitive tasks that are definitely there to handle complexity, because if you can find a way to modify your code that does not change its behavior, but improve its readability, its maintainability, maybe you are able to reduce the number of lines of code, still doing the same thing, but expressing things in a more concise way. So I think refactoring is definitely a very common and ubiquitous method to handle complexity by reducing it. Other than that, I'm afraid I can't come up with anything else like that. We'll park it and maybe something will light up in my brain at a later time. You know what? I'll simply leave it on the board just as inspiration. Here's another question. I'm playing an ASM game and really enjoying it. And from the rest of the question, I will assume that means I'm playing an assembler game and really enjoying it. And so my first question has to be, what game are you playing? I do have a few games on Steam myself that do something like assembler programming, and I just realize and have to admit that I haven't played them in a long time, because I've been playing one of them with my son, actually, to introduce him to basic computer logic and things like that, and I don't even remember the names. So I will fire up Steam and look it up. Chat is probably able to guess what it is before I can even refresh my memory here, because Steam takes a bit to spin up. Loading user data. Displaying advertisements. So, what my son and I have been playing Exapunks. And since Exapunks already is fun, I also got myself Shenzhen.io. And there was another one, wasn't there? Let's go through the list here one by one. Maybe there wasn't. Maybe it's just on my wish list, but I haven't bought it yet. Oh yes, there is. Greyhack. Greyhack is another one of these coding and hacking games where you have to do some kind of assembler programming. Praxeus says, I'm playing Human Resource Machine. Human Resource Machine. I haven't heard of that, I think. Let me try... find what that is. It's on Steam as well. Tomorrow Corporation. Nice. That sounds very cyberpunk. Program little office workers to solve puzzles. Be a good employee. The machines are coming for your job. Isn't that hitting a little bit close to home? Okay, interesting. Putting it on my wish list. Yeah, that looks really fun. Really droll. Okay. So, back to the question. There's a lot of instruction architectures out there. What could be a fun but still relevant historical architecture to look at? Should I jump right into ARM or x86 architectures because they're so common now? I mean, it really depends on if you want these skills to be useful or to be fun. I think there might be little overlap, actually, because I think both the ARM and x86 instruction sets aren't great. I would rather pick something that is more, that is a little bit simpler. So, yeah, and also there's probably almost no overlap between still relevant and historical. I'm inclined to say try and do some 6502 machine code, but that's definitely biased by me having done that in my early days when I still had my Commodore machines. Balthazar says, myself, I'd say the first architecture you learn practical assembler for should reflect first how much you learn from theoretical concepts versus practical applications, and second, how simple of an architecture is best for you to get started. That's why I thought about 6502, because that's definitely a very simple thing, it being just an 8-bit CPU. But you can, there's still plenty of tooling out there that allows you to do coding for that. For example, the Vice emulator, where you can use to run your assembler code, and there are even cross compilers and things like that where you can edit your code on your workstation without having to use some machine monitor or something running on a C64. Z80 is definitely also an interesting one, because yeah, its assembler code is also quite capable and interesting, also very logical. I haven't done Z80 myself, but I looked into it, and I might do something like that in the future, because there are great Z80 based machines out there that you can actually purchase and run yourself, namely the RC 2014, which is a whole set of Z80 based components that you can use to assemble a machine that is Z80 based, can run Z80 operating systems like CP/M, but there are also a lot of extension PCBs that allow you to do LEDs, or I think there's a sound expansion card with a Yamaha chip on it, and so maybe look into the RC 2014 series of components that you can actually build your own mini computer with, that is actual hardware. Yeah, you should definitely make this a forum post on the server room, because yeah, that's definitely something that we can expand over time. Good thought. Bethesda says the original Game Boy runs a Sharp SM83, which is kind of a hybrid between a Z80 and an Intel 8080. Yeah, Game Boy might have some kind emulation and development tooling as well. Oh, Bethesda's right. Learning 6502 would allow you to target the original NES as a practical machine that is very well emulated. Yeah. So yeah, my answer would be go for 6502, or because I'm very curious about how Z80 works out, I definitely throw that in as well. Alright, so we still have our parked questions on there that will keep me thinking, but if there's anything else that you'd like to ask, please post it to mspc.sh/office-hour, and I'll answer it there. And realizing that we are already past 3 p.m. here, I'll say we'll be going for a little while more, but not too much. So go ahead and put your questions on the Q&A board, and we'll tackle them before we wrap up, and look forward to the weekend. Post your questions. And there's an ad break coming in a few minutes time as well, so we'll probably go a little bit past that ad break. I'll wait with answering questions until the ads are through. Not that I'm putting on ads that because I'm getting rich from them. It's just to spare people who are just joining the channel from being immediately bombarded with ads. Balthazar showing his gaming industry knowledge. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, either you have a huge chip that can emulate the old Switch 1 platform easily, or you simply stay with the same kind of family so that you can run the code for Steam 1 natively and still have the advantages of a new platform. Other than that, in terms of updates on the monospace side of things, at the moment I'm struggling with coming up with a technical concept for PubMox, our public Proxmox cluster that will be available to gold members of the server room. Because yeah, it's quite hard to pick hardware for such a cluster with a not unlimited budget. I'm of course looking into mini PCs. I would like to have 3 nodes for that cluster, so that people can really work with Proxmox and all its features, including failover and things like that. And so I would like to have 3 hardware nodes, and of course I'd like to get the best bang for my buck there as well. So I'm looking into mini PCs, but at least over here, even the more established brands like Minisforum have quite a bad reputation in terms of support and hardware reliability, which is of course connected. So I'm reluctant to actually go in and spend, say, €2,000 on PCs like that if I'm running the risk of being stuck with only 2 or 1 of them working. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to pick there. Of course, I've been talking about reuse a lot on this stream as well, so that's definitely another option. On the other hand, if I get a few used thin clients, they might not have the performance that I'd like this PubMox cluster to have. So, something I'm struggling with. Okay, ad is running, so I'm not going to answer any questions for the next minute or so. But there's still, of course, time to post them. Balthasar says, if you can find relatively modern Intel or AMD hardware with USB 4 or Thunderbolt, we could use some used workstations and use the fast serial connection, basically, for networking. Yeah, networking isn't my biggest concern. I'm trying to find a good balance between CPU and memory, especially memory. I think memory will be the priority resource there. I'm not expecting us to run high load workloads there, high CPU workloads, but having enough memory to run a bunch of concurrent VMs for different community members is definitely something that I'm aware of. So I think 32 gigabytes per node should be available. Most of the used workstations will only have DDR4 memory, which will limit them, I think, to 32 gigabytes. That's also something that I'm considering. So it's really a huge puzzle of trade-offs, I think. And I'll definitely also start a forum post on the server room for that. 32 gigabytes per DIMM slot, so if usually they have 2, so it's at least 64. Well, 64 times 3 is definitely something that is ample, I'd say. Except if you want to have high availability for everything. So you can't max it out completely, but yeah. Yeah, so that has been so far a little bit of a puzzle for me, which kind of platform to pick. Firmware update necessary? I see. Maybe I should actually look into the used market again. I'm not going to get more of these precision workstations, of which I'm running one here in my office at the moment for my own home lab. It's definitely nice, but I don't have the space, and I definitely don't want to have the power consumption of that thing times 3. So it's going to be either one of these desktop thin clients or a new mini PC, a set of new mini PCs. Nested virtual? That's a good question, and I think we are veering off topic a little, but you know what? I'll put up a forum post on the server room, and just in case you're not familiar with it, even though I keep promoting it, I'll put up a post in the server room, and maybe we'll simply have a call eventually where we can discuss different avenues and options. Only Element, hello to you too. So, Starship fixed the hostname inside the distro box. Happy with that. Awesome. I was about to ask if you were able to solve that. I think Starship is definitely a great solution for that. It teases the Puritan in myself a little bit, thinking, Z Shell should be able to do that by itself. And there is actually a Z Shell plugin called Spaceship that emulates what Starship does. But it has its flaws, because Starship is, of course, also written in Z Shell code, and there are a few issues with rendering all these prompt components in time, and there are a few async things that don't work 100%. So that's why I actually switched back to Starship, which is of course written in Rust and therefore doesn't have really performance issues. And yeah, preset themes and all the components that are available, where you are able to, say, display which Kubernetes cluster you are administering at the moment and things like that. That's definitely very useful. So yeah, and with Homebrew, for example, it's very easy to get hold of Starship. Back in the past, I had to install it manually, which was one of the reasons why I tried to ditch it, because with every new distro box or every new hardware machine that I installed, I had to install Starship manually as well, which was always a little bit of a chore. But since I'm using Bluefin almost everywhere now, Homebrew is available out of the box, and therefore it's just a brew install Starship away. So really happy that you were able to resolve that. And folks, that's the perfect example where my community really can shine. Only Element had a question about their shell prompt in one of my recent live streams. They joined Discord, and we obviously were able to work it out, and which makes me very happy. And so yeah, I can only invite you to join the Discord, and if you'd like to support me and my work that I'm doing here, trying to share my knowledge and create courses and things like that, please consider becoming a paying member of the server room. You'll definitely get your money's worth, I promise you that. Full Snabel joining us, and just at the end of my office hour, because yeah, as they say in our local pubs here, last orders. Post your questions to mspc.sh/office hour, and I'll pick them up there. I'll answer 1 or 2 more questions. We'll wrap things up at past, which gives us 13 more minutes, and then by then I'll wrap things up. So if you still have questions about DevOps, about software engineering, about system administration, which is my very strong suit, about software engineering in general, Ruby coding in particular, or any other IT related stuff, mspc.sh/office hour is the place where you can post them, where I can see them, where I can pick them up, where I can display them on screen, and hopefully answer them in a useful manner. Go ahead, post your questions, while I'll be enjoying my now lukewarm tea. Balthasar, coming back to your earlier questions, would I bill myself as fixed width funny guy? Coming to think of it, maybe not, because I hope that my width isn't fixed. I am really putting in a lot of effort to reduce my width, so maybe I'll try and find another expression to characterize me. Is Joko asking in chat, so I'll answer in a short manner, but I guess it's not meant as a flippant answer. Best way to learn C++ is probably by practicing C++. So find a project where you're going to have fun building stuff. Maybe join an open source project that shows C++ as its language, or maybe try and scratch your own itch by building a solution that you have a problem for in C++, and that's definitely the best way. Of course, there are courses and books and things like that. I definitely have a few C++ books in my library as well. But learning from a book or even from a course is very dry if you can't really apply your learnings. And that's why I recommend finding a project that will keep you going forward, that will keep you skilling up and doing things like that. Yes, of course, LLMs will also be able to give you answers. The problem with LLMs, among other things, is that you have to prompt them in a particular way. And that means you already have to know what you don't know to figure out a prompt that gets you somewhere. And with learning, there's always the problem of the unknown unknowns. So AI won't help you there. That's why I say join a project, because that might actually present you challenges where you realize, oh, I have no idea how to do that, or I have no idea that such a problem even exists, and only then you can get to finding the right tools in your programming language to solve these issues. So it's definitely a combination of all these things. Oh dear. One of the neighbors is calling, and I know exactly why. Just a second. Embarrassing. Once more, my wee one wanted to be let into the house. I did not hear him ring the bell. He probably was even standing outside calling me, but with headphones on, that's always a problem. I will now lift one of my headphones so I can definitely notice when he's there. And we wanted to wrap things up in a few minutes time anyway. So yeah, he went to one of the neighbors, to his friend, and they called me now. Oh dear. Balthasar says, when I use GPS to get to a place, I don't end up really learning how to navigate. Yep, that's a good analogy. I just follow directions. That's what I do. My sense of direction is so bad. And of course, I celebrated the day when only just the compass was added to iOS, because it kept me from walking in the wrong direction, even when I had a paper map. And of course, later when Google Maps came to iOS as well, that was a godsend for people like me. And even though Maps now gets me to where I want to be, it did not improve my sense of direction in any way, and my ability to discern places and things like that. So yeah, that's a good comparison. Only Element asks, how do you host your WordPress page, and can you recommend me some e-commerce theme? I don't run any e-commerce stuff, so I don't have personal experience with e-commerce themes. I can't recommend something there. And now, oh, my boy's out there. So I leave you with my own company's hosting platform, because we specialize in hosting WordPress. I'll be back in a second, and then we'll wrap things up. And I'm back. Sorry for these many interruptions, but yeah, life gets in the way. Sometimes I envy all these tech bros who certainly have wives that take care of everything behind the scenes while they do their showy uppy stuff, but we are more of a normal family. So, yeah, I on the element, I left you with the URL of my company's hosting platform. Of course, that's a very biased thing, but we do have definitely advantages. Being European-based is one of the advantages that I'm going to highlight in the near future on our blog. But yeah, that would be definitely my recommendation. Okay, well, there haven't been any new questions on the board anymore, and so I think we are going to wrap things up. But on Tuesday, we had a lot of fun ending stuff with a nice little game, and I think I'd like to do that today as well. So I will try and pull that up here. Fullsnabel asks, should we switch to you from Azure? I mean, we are doing managed hosting. We take over a lot of effort and nightly worries. That's what we get paid for, but you don't have to worry anymore about. So it's definitely something that you should consider. Praxia says, I'd rather be interrupted and interact with my family. Life is life. It helps to remember to move at human speed. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'll switch off music because the game has its own. And let's try that. There we go. Most of you know the drill. Use the letters that appear to build words, post the word in chat, and if you get one, good, and then you'll have to wait for the timeline to pass the lock for you. Because now I'll be locked until the timeline passes the first lock sign. What is Chloe? Hi, Delicious. One more point. Okay, thank you for that, Balthazar. I'm definitely at a disadvantage today because I'm using my split keyboard in Mac layout. Clot. Not something that you'd like to hear in everyday life. Cis neither. And especially not clots in the plural. Yeah, Balthazar scoring all these plurals. Well done, that looks promising. We smashed that first level. And advanced 2 levels to level 3. Cool, cool, cool. Let's keep going. Dibs on dibs. Ah, Proxeus. Pull the snarl. Stiff competition today. Not the bees. Four more four-letter words. But still, very good smashing of this level, catapulting us to level 5. Also blocked by chatbot? Really? No, I don't see any auto mods. Ah, the repetition thing. Sorry for that. Let's go on. Maybe if I focus on the right window, I can even type. Stop making me hungry, Balthazar. I haven't had proper lunch yet. Three levels! Folks, you're really on fire today. We are already at level 8. Can we smash it? one of the letters is fake. Is it the P? It's probably the P, isn't it? Let's try. I would say it's the P. Yeah, it's definitely the P. Huge without the E. Impressive. Balthasar, 170 in general ranking, not bad. Well, level 11 is waiting. Oh, thanks for the hint. We'll pause until ad break is over. Balthasar, did you actually type unfed? Are you mocking me? Twenty more seconds. I'm not really sure why I would be in your code. Now I'm even more queasy. But yeah, if I were in your code, I wouldn't want you to mock me either. All right, we're back. So let's continue. Level 11? This is going to be interesting. Or did I already use the fake letter, huh? What does Wark have to do with Chocobos? And by the way, there are two albums called Chocobo and Chill, which I can highly recommend. Oh, they go Wark. Okay. Well, we did it. We got to level 12. Let's go. What? Just a second, I have to take this. Nice. Very good. Two levels even. Cool, cool, cool. Balthazar widening his lead. Yeah, I think it's even just the amount of people taking part is definitely something that helps. All right, let's see if we can get level 14 done. It's going to be a challenge. The S... no, the S can't be. The D seems to be the fake letter, huh? Yeah. You picked a Y as the hidden letter? Wow, okay. close. So close. So close. But level 14 is nothing to be sneezed at. Well done, everyone. Let's take a look at the final scores. Balthasar, 288 points. Double than Fuller still having an excellent 140 points. Me on bronze with 81 points. Joko with 57, closely followed by Praxeus with 52, and Annalicious still having taken part with 9 points. Well done, folks. This was fun. Not only this gaming round, but also the questions and answers that we did. So yeah, that's me leaving into the weekend, thinking about possible hardware options for our PubMox cluster. And I'll be back next week. I've taken time off work to recover a little bit from something that I think is burn-outy. But I can see myself doing live streams too, simply because they're so much fun and because they allow me to chat with you guys. And that's always something that I relish. So, thank you for joining me here on this nice Friday. I hope you're having a great rest of your day and a great weekend too.
It's a Unix system.
It's Joko. Thank you for following. Hope to see you soon. And yeah, until next time, take care.